Good morning. We're learning as a chus for Shleima Filana Chayev Aserach. We're on Daf Lamed Hey Yomid Beis. Um, we're 5 lines in the top. Amalei of Acha Breder of Yosel Rav Ashi. Ma'u lemitferei. No, it's really before that. But on the second line. Abaye Havi Yosef Kameder Rabbi Yosef. Second line on the Yomid. Havi Yosef Kameder Rabbi Yosef. We're sitting in front of Rabbi Yosef. Ifsikle Ritzua de Tfili. His Ritzuas of his tefillin broke. Amalei Maula Miktere. He asked him, what's it in? Can I tie it together and use it tied together? Tie together the Ritzuas. Amalei Kshartam Ksiv. Shetehei Kshiratama, like we've seen many times. It says Kshartam, we break that up into two words. Kesher Tam, it has to be a full and unblemished tying of your tefillin. Having a knot tying together two parts of the tefillin is not the kshira tama. It takes away from the completeness of the tefillin. He said, okay, you said you can't just make a regular knot. What if I make a knot? If I sew it together and I sew it in a way that the stitching is hidden. You sew together, let's say, the two backs, so all you can see is the front of the ritzua, and you don't see the stitching. And you turn around the stitching so it's not visible. Amar very famous line. Go look at what people are doing. This is often cited as a source that we look at what people do to dictate what the halacha is. We generally assume that people are doing something, it is acceptable. So he's saying that we don't see that anyone does such a thing. If someone has a ripped tefillin, a ripped ritzua, they either just cut it off where it is, because as we're going to see later on, the shear of how long the ritzuas have to be is not very long, at least past the knots that hold it onto your head or onto your arm. But we don't find that anyone sews together a ritzua. Amra Papa, gardume ritzuris ksher. If you have a small piece of ritzuas, just a little bit of ritzuas sticking out, it's kosher. So but this is incorrect. We're talking about some other things that have some length, other mitzvahs that have a length. The short pieces of tcheles, if someone has tzitzis, the tcheles of his tzitzis, that have been cut off and they're left only a short amount, and those of the ezoiv that's used for the paraduma, and it's used, I think, on what do you call it? On the mitzayra, ksher. Those are kosher. You don't need. They could be very short and still valid. So we are medayik. Chasavu the dashmishe mitzvanin. These things are used for performing a mitzvah. Now, aval hacha dashmishe kedushin loy. But the tefillin, the ritzuas are a tashmish of kedusha, not a tashmish mitzvah. Now, the way I would say it, just from my logic, would be that over there you're trying to accomplish a goal. That means the paraduma or the tzitzis. I'm sorry, the tcheles and the ezev. These are all trying to accomplish the goal of being mekayim the mitzvah of wearing the tzitzis, but they're not inherently kaddish. I think that's what it is in the end. But tefillin, they themselves, it's a piece of parchment on it. It's being mishamish that davar shakdusha. Right? We have a mitzvah of geniza. We have a mitzvah of how you of cover that you treat dvarim shakdusha. Things like a sefer Torah, like we had that you can't sit on the same bed as a sefer Torah. Those are things that you can't sit on a bed that there's a tzitzis on it or an ezev on it. So since these things are actual kedusha, the tefillin and the sefer Torah tefillin and mezuzos, So the ritzuas that are in service of it, they're enabling it, you're not allowed to use them if they're cut off. Zakdamar. Mechlal de islu shira. From the fact that we're saying that you can't use it if it's below that amount, if it's just a small amount, right? Is that there is a shear that we said if it was lechatchila, it had the right shear. We said on the azav and the tchelas, even if it ripped off, it still remains kosher because when it was made, it was kosher. But tefillin not like that. But suffice to say that there was a shear that now it's less than the kama shiurayu. What is the shear of ritzuas of tefillin? It's very short. Amar Rabbi Bachama Reish Lakish ad etz v'tzirda, until his index finger or his middle finger. I think it's the index finger is this finger, right? And then there's the middle finger. So until the etzotzira, I think is the middle finger. Gana machli kafaf. Rav Ashi machli pashat. They all describe what does that mean until the tzirda finger. So Rashi machli kafaf. Oirach haritzura te oitfa ala kesher. The length of the ritzua past the knot. Kamasha yachal lifshit me'etzba ad amma. To the amount of the space between the index finger and the middle finger, or the pointing finger. Right.
So only talking
So,
about the tefillin shal right now with the ritua, how long it is?
yeah. Either one, past the ritzua. Well, either shal yad or shal resh. I don't. Are we talking about the bedafka the shal yad or I don't
I don't
remember.
know, the way Rashi seems to be saying it.
Mach eure hartzua te adifa al kash kamash yachal shim etzba aram pasha sheyachal lifshit mi goydel v'etzel gabi etzel goydel havi the pshita gabi ama v'etzba kfifa l'sha etzel goydel mispasha yoysa harim bein etzam. What do you see anything about shal rosh?
I know, I'm just picturing it, you know how like you see the bar mitzvah boys, they have like their whole hand is wrapped, and then as they get, it's like so big, and then as they
Yeah.
get older, it's like, I'm just, that's why I'm just thinking the way Rashi is describing it.
The Rashi is just describing a measure of length. It has
A
nothing to do
measure
with
of
the
length.
tefillin.
Got it.
This is just it's a shorter distance. So the machvi kafaf means I don't know exactly how something bent over, but he says between the index and middle fingers, and poshut is between the thumb and the middle finger. So it's like either between 2 inches or 5 inches. Rabba katalahu upashut v'shadilahu. The way Rabba would wear his tefillin shel rosh is he would tie it and he would throw it behind him. He would have it trailing behind him. Rav Acha by Yaakov kataluhu matlaslo. He would tie it and he would braid it together, mashlish, like make it into a triple braided chain. Mrabre the Ravna Avid Kedidan. He did like we do, meaning taking the ritzuas of the tefillin and putting it in front. Amrav Yehuda Breder of Shmuel Bar Shila Mishmei the Rav. Kesher shel tefillin halacha l'Moshe Misinai. The kesher tefillin, the knot on the tefillin is halacha l'Moshe Misinai. I assume that means both its existence and its shape. Amrav Nachman Nuyin Labar. And there's two pshatim Rashi, either the shape of the knot, both for the shal yad and shal rosh, is either a dalid or a yud. So it either means that the shame that's on it should be facing out, or it means just that the outside part, the part that's painted, the black part should be facing out. Ravashi Haviyasov Kamei de Marzutra. Sitting in front of Mazutras, Hapchalei Ritzua the tefillin. His tefillin got turned over. His Ritzuas got inside out. Don't you hold of that which we say that it should be facing out? He said, I'm not trying to make a statement there. I just didn't realize it got turned over. The pasuk says, "Ro kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra alecha." All the nations of the world will see that the shame of Hashem is called upon you. Talking about the Bnei Yisrael, v'yaru mimecha, and they're going to be afraid of you. Tanya, Ulaza Gadolaimer, Elu Tfilin Sheberosh. This is talking about the Tfilin Sheberosh. We wear a Tfilin Sheberosh, that causes our fear to be placed on all the other nations. Basiroisi is kapi Baros Asachar. This is talking about when the Rebbeinu Shalom was showing himself. Moshe Rabbeinu requested to see the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol. Moshe Shalom said, you'll stand by the rock, and I'm going to cover you over. And then as I'm passing by, after I pass by, I'm going to take away my hand. The Rebbeinu Shalom saying, and you'll be able to see my back. So we say, "V'asirois kappa." The Rebbeinu Shalom says, "I'm going to take away my hand." V'roas asachari. You're going to see my back. Amar Chana bar Bizna, Amar Shem Mechasidim Alamet Sheher Lo Hakadosh Baruch Hu LaMoshe Kesher Shel Tefillin. He showed Moshe Rabbeinu the kesher of his tefillin, kaviyachol, as if the Rebbeinu Shalom was wearing tefillin. That's what he saw, the kesher from behind. Amar Rav Yehuda, kesher shel tefillin shach sheyeh l'mayla. The kesher of the tefillin has to be on top, meaning it can't be going down his back. It has to be on the back, like we do it in the back of our head, by the neck, on top of the neck. Kadesha Yisrael l'mayla. Right? Says the tefillin are identified with Bnei Yisrael to some extent. So by keeping the kesher, I guess this is a kesher of the Rebbeinu Shalom. The tefillin represent a binding of the Bnei Yisrael to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So when you keep that knot on top, that indicates that Bnei Yisrael, by being bound to the Rebbeinu Shalom, are also going to be on top. The loy lamata, not hanging down. B'tzarach sheyehei klapi pnim. It also has to be not just above the nape of the neck, but it also has to be right in the back of a person's neck, not toward the side. Yisrael lifnim b'loy lacha. By doing that, that indicates the Yidden are going to be, it's opposite the face to show that the Yidden are in the front. Amar Shmuel bar Bredi, Amar Rav, Amrila, Amar Ravacha, Aricha, Amar Ravuna. Some people say it was Ravacha Aricha, the long Ravacha, said b'shem Ravuna, V'amrila, Amar Menachos, Amar Shmuel. Tefillin me'emasai mevarach alein. From when do you make a bracha on tefillin? So Rashi explains, what does that mean? Me'emasai mevarach alein, which you're going to see Mishas Hanachasan, Mashma la'acha shehinicha. The mashmais of this is, you make a bracha on it, Mishas Hanachasan. After you put on the tefillin, you make a bracha. Ini, is this true? For Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Kol HaMitzvahs Kulam Mevarach alein Oivel Asiyasa. The rule always is we make a bracha before you do the mitzvah. So how can we say after you put on the tefillin you make a bracha? By Tzarvayu, Mishas Hanacha V'ad Shas Kachira. What it means Hanacha over here does not mean like we originally said, but like what we do. It means you put it in place where it's ready to be put in place until the Kshira is really on the Hanachasa. When you place everything on the right spot, before that, that's when you're supposed to make the bracha. So Einachanami, you do it over Asiyasan, but Asiyasan doesn't mean Hanachasan when it's placed, but rather when it goes into the correct spot. Amar of Chizda. Sach bein tefila letefila, chayze umevarach. If someone talks between the tefillin, after putting on the tefillin shel yad, before putting on the tefillin shel rosh, he has to go make another bracha. Sach the Gemara, sach in, loy sach loy. It's mashma. You only make a bracha before putting on the tefillin shel rosh if you made a half-sek, if you forgot what you were doing, you have mesich das, you make a second bracha. Ba'shalach Rav Chia Breder Rav Huna Mishmeder Rav Yochanan Al Tefillah Shel Yad Oima Baruch Hashek Nishon Mitzvayis Tzvanu Laniach Tefillin Al Tefillin Shel Rosh Oima Baruch Hashek Nishon Mitzvayis Tzvanu Al Mitzvahs Tefillin. That you make a bracha on each one. So why are we saying that only if a person is sach, only if a person got interrupted and he stopped paying attention, he has to make a bracha on the Tefillin Shel Rosh. Abaye V'Avraham B'Tzarvayu Lo Sach Mevarach Achas. What does it mean that you make these brachas? If he doesn't make a hesech, he makes one brach. Sach mavarach shtayim. But if he makes a hesech hadas, then he makes two. Now we all know this is not what we do. So let's see the Taisus. Loisach mavarach achas, sach mavarach shtayim. Pirsh bekuntris. Loisach mavarach achas. Bein shel yad, bein shel roish. If if he doesn't make a hesech hadas, he just makes the bracha before the tefillin shel yad, and he doesn't make one on the shel roish. Sach mavarach shtayim le'niach b'tefillin v'shel yad v'al mitzvah tefillin v'shel roish. But if he makes a hesech hadas, then he makes both brachas. So Rashi does not paskin to do like what we do. He says you only make the bracha al mitzvah tefillin on the shel roish if you interrupt it. Rabbeinu Tam Pirush loisach mavarach achas ashel roish. What is the tzadi? Sorry, where's that little tzaddik? Al shel roish al mitzvahs. Right. So Rabbeinu Tam Pirush loisach mavarach achas al shel roish mavarach al mitzvahs tefillin. He makes, if he doesn't make this whole discussion of Abai and Rava is just going on that second bracha, on the Shel Rosh. So if he didn't make a Hesach Hadas and he gets the Shel Rosh, he only makes one bracha on the Shel Rosh. He makes the ultimate Tzitzun. Shezui Bechasai. Sach. But if he interrupted, Mevarach Beis, the Shel Rosh, on Yech, Al Mitzvahs, Al Rosh, Lan Yech, Al Mitzvahs, the Lashon is wrong here. You have to look it up, but I don't have time. So we follow Rabbeinu Tam that you always make one bracha on the Shal Yad and one bracha on the Shal Rosh. If there's an interruption, which is what the Gemara is saying, if he's Mesiach Das, then he makes both brachas on the Shal Rosh. And it's Allah Lamaisa. My father teaching it when I was on mitzvah, that if you get interrupted, if you get a emergency phone call, your wife's going into labor, you have to take the call after you put on your tefillin shel yad, and then you're putting on your tefillin shel rosh. You make both brachas. You make leiniach tefillin and amitzas tefillin, because the leiniach tefillin, hanachas tefillin, what is on the hanachas tefillin, that you need that bracha for your tefillin shel rosh as well.
It looks like Chabad. It looks like follows Rashi. They only make one bracha.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they only make one bracha.
Unless so you guys don't even know. I mean, some people who are Fal Chabad don't even know from the whole bracha al mitzvahs tefillin.
Well, no, they make mitzvahs tefillin if they interrupt.
If they interrupt, I mean,
Right.
they're never going to remember it because they never said it. I guess they see it in the siddur by us, so maybe they'll. I guess, yeah. How often is there an interruption between two sets of tefillin? It's like it's 10 seconds. I mean, there probably is a lot of interruptions in our minds, but I don't think we paskin that we're cognizant of that. I didn't know Chabad does that. But listen, it makes sense. I wonder why we paskin like Rabbeinu Tam as opposed to Rashi. Typically, Shulchan Aruch will paskin like Rashi. It's unusual.
We feel bad. We don't do the two tefillin, so we
We make up for it.
we make a compromise.
Tana. Sach ben tefillah avera hibiyade. Someone who interrupts between the tefillin, it's an avera, it's a terrible thing. When they would go out to war, they would ask people who over here is without avera, and anyone has an avera that they're worried that's gonna cause them to be defeated in battle, get sent home. So being mafsek between the tefillin is such an avera. Tanak shumeniach meniach al yad v'akach meniach shel rosh. When he puts on his tefillin, he first puts the shel yad, and afterwards he puts on the shel rosh. When he takes it off, chaylut shel rosh v'akach shel yad. You do it in the opposite order. You take off the shel rosh first, and then you put on the shel yad. Bishlam shumeniach meniach shel yad v'akach meniach shel rosh t'chsev kshat mo'isa yadecha v'hada v'hayilu toitavos beineinecha. Because the Torah says that first you kosher it, you put it on the yad, and then it says between his eyes. Where does that come from? Amar Rabba, of Huna Asbarali, Amar Krab, Ha'ilu Taitavas Beinecha, Kol Man Shabeinecha Yushtayim. That the Torah says it should be Taitavas Beinecha. Taitavas is a Lashon Rabbin. So it means you always have to have, when there's on the Shalroish, Beinecha is the Shalroish, has to have both sets of tefillin. So that would also explain why we put on the Shalyad first, because you can't ever have the Shalyad without the Shalroish. I'm sorry, the Shalroish without the Shalyad. Tan Rabbah, tefillin me'emasai mevarach alein, mishas hanachasa. So we have to understand, Rashi says what that means. Tefillin, so Rashi, right in the middle, sheinichen koider amoid hashachar. Someone who put on his tefillin before the time, the right time for tefillin. Mevarach alein mishas hanachasa. He makes a bracha on them from the time when you're supposed to put on tefillin. He puts on the tefillin. He doesn't make a bracha until the proper time comes to make the bracha. So this is actually something you see sometimes, that people have an early Vasikin minyan, or they have a minyan that starts before Vasikin. Right? If you have a regularly scheduled minyan that ends up sometimes a year before Vasikin, you'll sometimes be there by such a minyan, and people will put on the tefillin, but they won't make the bracha until the shas hanachas, until the time comes. You wait to make the bracha till that time comes. Ketzad, Ketzad, how did this work? Why was the person putting on tefillin before the time? He was getting up to go somewhere. He's worried if he's going to hold his tefillin in his hands, they're going to get lost. He has to defend himself from the animals on the way. So he wears his tefillin to protect them. He puts them on. When the time comes, he touches his tefillin, which is like a hanacha, and then he makes the bracha. But Mosai, because you have to have a overlas yasan. So by being mishamish them, it says that he's mishamish and then he makes them varach. I'm not sure why it's not the other way around. I'm not sure why doesn't make the bracha and then mishamish. But Mosai menichan, until when does he keep on the tefillin? This is talking about at night, the other side, time of the day. Acha tishka hachama, until tishka hachama, which they explain, the Mefarshim explain that means until the end of Shkias Hachama, which is, I think, what we call Tzeisa Kechavim. The end of Ben Hashmashos. He says a later time, not from when night starts, but rather when people stop walking around. Chum say until the time people go to sleep. Umoidim Chacham Rabbi Yaakov, Umoidim Chacham v'Rav Yaakov, both Chacham and Rabbi Yaakov, who say you can wear tefillin, keep wearing tefillin after nightfall. Shem Cholz on Lotzos L'Beis HaKisei L'Konis L'Beis HaMerchet. So if a person was wearing his tefillin past Shkia, and he took them off in order to go to the bathroom or to go into to take a shower, the Shaka Chama, and then it became nightfall. Shuv Ein Choyzer Minicha. This din that they said that you could wear past night is not this. They agree that you're not allowed to put on tefillin after nightfall. What they're saying is that if it's on you already, you can keep it on. So therefore, if they took it off for whatever reason, you can't come put it back on after night. Amr of Nachman. So this is many different pshatim in the Rishonim. Is this, we're going to see a machlekes on the next block whether Laila is man tefillin or not. Is this coming l'chayra? I think the way Rashi understands it is that the first mandam, the Tanakama, holds Laila is lavd is man tefillin hu midaraisa, so therefore he has to take it off. He's not allowed to wear past nightfall at all. And the other mandam, it's only midarabanan. It's midaraisa you could, but it's we're worried about the person not being naig but covered with his tefillin. So therefore, we were misaken that up until the time of when he goes to sleep, he could wear it, or up until while people are walking, he'll be reminded to treat it with covered. So that's the reason why you could wear it up until that point, but you can't place it on after night. Amar of Nachman, halacha Rabbi Yaakov. He says halacha is like Rabbi Yaakov. That says you can wear it past Shkia. Of Chizda Rabbi Bar Huna, Matzlo Behurtu. They would daven the Ma'ariv with their tefillin on. Ikeda Amri, ain't halacha Rabbi Yaakov. Those who say the halacha is not like Rabbi Yaakov, meaning that we pass on like the Tanakama, that you're not allowed to wear it by nightfall. If we pass in like that you're only allowed to wear it till nightfall, how could they have worn their tefillin by Ma'ariv? So that was talking about machlokes. Rav Chizda and Rav Huna disagreed with this who was it? Rav Nachman that said the halacha is not like Rabbi Yaakov. They said halacha is like Rabbi Yaakov. It really could be Rabbi Yaakov or the last man, the Amr. Who was it? Chachamim. Rabbi Yaakov or the Chachamim. They both hold after night. So does he really hold you could wear tefillin at night? Safak chashefa sakaloi chashecha loy chaylitz v'loy meiniach. Ben hashmoshes, you don't have to take off the tefillin, but you can put them on. Havadei chashecha chaylitz. It's mashma only until the end of ben hashmoshes can you wear. And like we said before, that's why we mentioned it before, that when we say chashecha before, it's talking about till the end of ben hashmoshes. He's mashma that vadei chashecha. You first daven ma'ariv after nightfall, and he's mashma that after chashecha, when it becomes nightfall, when it becomes tzeitzach echavim, you do have to take off your tefillin, even if you hadn't taken them off before then. So about Hasan Erev Shabbos, that's talking about Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos, he has to take it off because he's not allowed to wear your tefillin on Shabbos. In fact, Gemara, Microsoft, Ikasava Lila's man tefillin. If he holds Lila is this man tefillin, and that's the reason why we're saying that which we said, that he has to be chaylitzit when it gets to be night, is because Laila, but when we said take it off at night, that was only referring to Shabbos. But by a regular night you could, because he holds Laila is man tefillin midaraisa, Shabbos nami is man tefillin. Then Shabbos is connected, it's the same limud, as we're going to see in a minute, for Laila and Shabbos. So if Laila's man tefillin, Shabbos is also, you can have a Shabbos lavs man tefillin, Laila nami lavs man tefillin. The Mehechad and Mimata Shabbos, and also Mati Leilis, they both learn from the same place, the Tanya. Shmartas Hachuka Hazois, Lumoyada, Miyamim Yemima. The Pasuk in I think it's Vahaya Kiviyacha, where's the Pasuk? Shmartas Hachuka Hazois, Lumoyada, Miyamim Yemima, and Shmois. It's talking about the Yitzias Mitzrayim, and it says the din of Tefillin right before this Pasuk, as part of the Sipur of Mitzrayim. And it says, Shemata Zechuk Azois L'Moyada, you should watch this as a remembrance, Miyamim Yemima for days, Yamim V'loi Lailis, Miyamim V'loi Kol Yamim, Prat L'Shabbos of the Yom Tovim, Divrei Beis Egli. Beis Egli says, this is coming to exclude both nights, Lailis V'loi, not Laila, Yamim and not Lailis, and V'Yamim V'loi Kol Yamim, Prat L'Shabbos of the Yom Tovim. So from the same Quinter Beis Egli, learn out both Lailas and Yom Shabbos and Yom Tov are excluded from Tefillin. No, this general parsha was talking about Pesach. It mentioned Tefillin, but when we say Miyam and Yemima, that's talking about Pesach. There's nothing to do with Tefillin. So, according to Rabbi Akiva, if he holds that both Lailas is man Tefillin and Shabbos and Yom Tov is man Tefillin, so they go together. Either you hold both of them are Asur or both of them are Mutter. Second one, Nafkele Mehechat and Nafkele Rabbi Kiva. No, the Gemara says no. Rabbi Kiva also agrees that Shabbos is excluded, Shabbos and Yom Tov are excluded from Tefillin. They learn from a different source. The Tanya Rabbi Kiva, Tefillin Yom Tovim, since he said that the pasuk of Miyam Yemima, the Chukah, is talking about the Pesach. Should be ice on between your eyes, and taitafes between your eyes. Misha tzrichen ice. Only those days that need an ice. Yas Shabbos Yom Tovim shein gufen ice. They themselves are an ice. You don't need an extra ice of tefillin. So therefore, it could be that we're going according to Rabbi Akiva, who holds Shabbos Yom Tov are excluded, but Lilas is mantfilin. Okay, we're gonna stop now, and we'll continue Bez Hashem. B'li neder, I hope to be in shul tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone.
All right. Take
Okay,
care. Have a great day.
have a good day.
Square for today.
Have a good Chodesh. Bez Hashem. We'll see you. We'll Chodesh tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.